Hi, my name is Yurika Reynoso Lucero, and today I am going to be talking about the racially based achievement gap in America. The achievement gap is seen throughout the United States in education and society, and it is influenced by many different factors. The racially based achievement gap affects the child developmentally because they have to face many more obstacles because of their race. One way to analyze the gap is through Maslow's hierarchy of needs, in which he explains that people have to have their basic needs met before they can move on to self actualization. When thinking specifically about race, these students may struggle the most with their safety needs and their belongingness and love needs. Students struggle to succeed because they may not feel safe or welcomed in their classrooms. Developmental scientists can review and analyze the students' achievement outcomes to see what educators and families can do to lessen the achievement gap. The Washington Post news article, Rethinking the Achievement Gap Lessons from the African Diaspora by Curtis Valentine, analyzes the race related achievement gap. It further details an exception to that gap with first and second generation immigrants from Africa and the Caribbean. The children of these immigrants are more likely to be college educated than any other immigrant or US born ethnic group, including white Americans. Curtis Valentine's article highlights a study by John Ogbu in which he explains his purpose of showing how the achievement gap is less in immigrant Black Americans compared to US born Black Americans. Valentine explains that first and second generation immigrant Black Americans were recipients of favorable immigration laws, societal integration, and cultural identity that helped to create higher achievement levels. This information means that closing the Black white achievement gap is possible if people are willing to listen and learn from each other, which further proves the findings from Ogbu's study. The methodology and limitations to this study were not identified in Valentine's article. John Ogbu, a previous professor at the University of California at Berkeley, analyzed the differences in achievement in his study, Voluntary and Involuntary Minorities, a cultural ecological theory of school performance with some implications for education. The purpose of his study was to determine if immigrant Blacks perform better than non-immigrant Blacks in America. The methodology of the study includes participants who are immigrant and non-immigrant Blacks. The results of this study were that immigrant Blacks outperformed non-immigrant Blacks, which leads to his explanation of the factors to the children's success. First, these students rarely internalize the oppositional culture, in which they reject qualities that are considered white. Second, they believe that higher education goes hand in hand with the American dream. And third, these Blacks have prominent examples of Black professionals in their community who are used as role models. The limitations to this study is that this theory was not tested with other immigrant races. Additionally, the other factors that affect the achievement gap were not analyzed in this specific study. The article explained that first and second generation Blacks were more successful than their non-immigrant counterparts and white Americans. John Ogbu furthers this claim when he analyzed the success of immigrant Blacks and non-immigrant Blacks in his study. Both articles showed that the students looked up to people in their native society as role models because they saw Blacks in professional and leadership positions. These articles differ because Valentine's article explains how immigrant Blacks have certain factors that benefit them from society, and Ogbu's article reveals the results of the study but does not look at other factors aside from race, whether they are positive or negative towards the achievement gap. The results in this comparison were not surprising because Valentine's article title explains that society needs to rethink the achievement gap. That development science is shown as something that can be helped and changed by the popular press. The article explains that society can change its ways in order to lessen the achievement gap and support students. The information I learned from this class that helped me in examining these two written pieces was that I knew where to look in the research article to find specific information. I learned that Valentine's article relates to a child's development because of the support they need, regardless of race, and this was further solidified by the results on John Ogbu's study. Thank you for listening to my talk. My email address is listed if you have any questions.